Hello, welcome to one of the few remaining races here in the spoiler log tournament of this season. We have a Game 2 match here against two titans of this game, Osse versus Zelda. My name is Claire Mouse. I'm joined today by Hammer. How are you doing today?
Well, I don't want to understate it too much, but I am absolutely thrilled to be watching this race and calming this race. As you said, these guys are awesome. If you guys did not watch the race last night, first off, what are you doing with your lives? You needed to watch that. It was a great race. Only about 2 minutes in between our winner and loser. As you can see, Osse took the first game. Zelda is hoping to push this to a game 3, and Osse is hoping to have a date with Kyung, who is in the other side of this bracket if all goes well for the finals. If you guys are unfamiliar with this insanity, basically how it works is the runners have 15 minutes to set up everything they need for the spoiler log. They are given all 216 locations, tree pulls, and everything else. And 15 minutes seems like a lot of time. It is not, though. So as you can see, our timers are coming to an end. The runners are going to be starting this very soon. You're going to see a lot of skip checks, a lot of low health, low item situation, and we're going to have some fun.
Alright, so we did actually see some similar openings here by our runners, both of them saving and quitting out of Sanctuary after picking the item, and then now looks like they're heading over towards the Eastern Palace area.
Yeah, and those 3 bombs in Sanctuary is an absolute wonderful find. That can be one of the hardest things to get early on, is rupees and or bombs, because you're generally going to be a little more concerned about key items than about where you're going to find your first 50 rupees or first couple bombs. But with those super easily accessible, we can be on our way.
Speaking of rupees, bombs, and more blue items, the flute in the back of Sahasha's closet looks like they are going to make a beeline to Kakariko.
Wow, that was pretty much exactly what you need. That 300 is going to be great. That's going to be all of their money requirements, unless, of course, our wonderful fish friend Zora is hiding something for us. And yeah, those 3 more bombs will have them be pretty set until fairly deep into the game, at least.
Now, do friends charge friends 500 rupees for an item?
It depends on how loosely you use the term friend, I suppose.
Our runners here taking a little bit of a divergence. Osse really wants that flute activated. Zelda is going to grab some goodies here out of the blind hide. We have the mirror, we have the cape, we got some more bombs. And we have a sword. Zelda's really racking up the goodies here.
Yeah, no kidding. That is a loaded blinds hut. Holy cow.
Zelda, I'm sure, giving Osse here some pointers about what to pick up here in Blind's Hut. We do know that Osse bought the heart piece off of the bottle vendor, so let's see if that will actually help him get another heart container as the run progresses.
So it's kind of interesting here that Zelga's holding out his sword. You can actually, once you release that spin speed, go ahead and use the duck immediately afterwards, which is why he's doing it. So between that and Osse's save and quit, they're basically telling you there is nothing else here in Kakariko.
It's really interesting to see that both runners know these, like 1 to second or frames that they can save throughout the run. And given how good both these runners are, and they have to play against each other, I mean, like any type of margin you can get is really just to your advantage.
Yes, and that is especially true because we're basically in a situation where there's not going to be any huge scavenger hunts for any particular item. So you can't hope to gain 3 or 4 minutes by finding an ice rod, for instance, faster than your opponent. So all the seconds are all the more important. Oh my goodness, Mini Moldorm Cave was loaded too. Holy cow!
Yeah, we have a hook shot, we have fire rod, another piece of heart for Aussie, the power glove, and another piece of heart. Looks like Aussie is going to not continue to Ice Rod Cave here, as Zelda is doing. Perhaps he wants to make use of those power gloves to visit the back of Escape.
And that's a good call. That does seem to be exactly where Aussie is going.
Yeah, you can also see Aussie pulling out the hook shot there. Just you can get a little bit more mobility there to try and save some frames to try and cross over to get to the back of Escape faster.
Meanwhile, Kane of Samari is sitting in Ice Rod Cave. It's not very frequent that you'll see a required item there, and a Master Sword in the back of Escape, so it is just throwing stuff at us.
Actually, we see a little bit of optimization there on Zelga's side. Zelga pulling out the mirror to mirror out of Sanctuary to get to the exit faster.
Yep, if you can stay on top of your menuing, that is quite a bit quicker, even if you have boots.
Zelda also picking up the small keep from the back of Escape.
So based upon how far Aussie goes in here, that could save a little bit of time. Zelda might be able to avoid killing one guard that Aussie will have to.
Yeah, really. So this, as you said, this is game 2. Aussie is up 1 game over Zelda, and so this is Zelga's do or die game here. He needs probably everything he can get if he wants to be able to secure a win.
Yeah, and that gets really, really fun for this particular type of race, because the spoiler log race is basically a tightrope walk between what safeties can I get and what can I go without. Because like we'd mentioned before, this can very easily turn into a race of seconds. And if you're sitting in a situation where you can grab a couple seconds by, for instance, stealing a key and not having to kill a guard, then that could very well end up being the difference.
Yeah, meanwhile, on Aussie's side, we see that a required trip is here, finding the Moon Pearl out of the boomerang chest.
Yeah, that's a good point, but we are not done. Looks like Aussie is going to Zelda's cell to grab something else.
I guess Aussie wants something to read in his spare time.
I don't know how much spare time we're going to have until the credits roll, but Aussie might be able to make use of that.
Looks like we're going to put that book to good use here immediately. Aussie is fluting to desert. Can use the book as an entry. He does have a fire source, so he is able to complete this dungeon if he wants to. However, desert is a pendant, so there certainly could still be something on pedestal or Sahashla himself. Or he just wants something good out of here, and then he'll beeline it out somewhere else.
That is a good point. Also keep in mind that desert might be boots locked. Obviously, Aussie knows this for certain. But at this point, we do not. I mean, technically we do because we do have access to spoiler log, but I don't even pretend to remember what I see on there anymore. And yeah, Zelda is doing something completely different. We are headed up the mountain. Not really wanting anything up here, so it looks like we're headed into Hera or the Ether Tablet, given what we have right now.
Alright, looks like Zelda wants to take a dip, perhaps a clear into Hera.
Yeah, it's not a bad idea. He has everything required to clear this dungeon, as well as having that wonderful hookshot. But we are
we are visiting the basement here for something. Most likely is going to be required here. As you said, that Zelda does have the hookshot. I'm sure. It's very likely he knows Herapot with the bomb setup. So if he's going to spend basically a minute here in Harrow Basement, this is probably going to be a very worthwhile and high-value item.
Yeah, it seems like we're going to have something sitting in that big chest, which is amusing, but kind of irksome all the same.
And you know, typically in a splitter log race, if runners can help it, they'll try and save Hera or Turtle Rock for the end because it's very convenient to mirror from those spots right to GT. However, given that Zelda is here, most likely this item is going to be even more valuable for him to have sooner rather than later.
Yep, and now with that setup, we are still going to be doing the Harapot. It is faster than going up the regular way if you are very quick about it, which Zelda would not surprise me if he was. Okay, good, I haven't got cursor.
I mean, do you see that aerodynamic hair that Zelda has? You know he can go fast.
It's only aerodynamic once he grabs one of the bows. Then we can talk about aerodynamics.
Alright, we see Osse making it very clear of Landmo, picking up the green pendant, probably most likely interested in those flippers though.
Well, that's kind of interesting because given our current set of items and the crystal pendant layout here, we don't really need those flippers for a whole lot. Just gonna kind of throw that out there. I mean, we can fake flipper to ice. We have the moon pearl, so waterfall is doable, as obviously is hobo and graveyard ledge. I'm pretty sure we could do with the Cane of Samaria. So, yeah, that's kind of pointing us towards Swamp, which is kind of scary with already one cleared pendant on the list for us here.
Yeah, it certainly seems to have gotten to the point where runners are going to pick up the flippers, basically if something is required or they want in Swamp. Everything else they just fake flipper to.
Alright, meanwhile, Moldorm goes down without too much of a fight there. So that is one crystal for Zelda, and a little bit of a high five as one goes in, the other one comes out. Looks like Zelda is continued on towards East Death Mountain, though. Now, these Tektites are scary. They do 2 hearts of damage apiece, and they are slightly erratic. And with 3 hearts of a health, because the seed hasn't been terribly forthcoming with that as of yet, that's a little bit scary.
Yeah, did you say something earlier about a tightrope and safety?
Well, I mean, we got blue mail, so everything's fine. This is perfectly fine.
Oh yeah, perfect. All right, let's go face Moth.
Ugh. Why would you bring that up? Like, there's every chance that Zelda is listening in chat. Why would you bring that up?
You know, good news. He just picked up the red mail. Quite the wardrobe there for Paradox Cave.
Yeah, no kidding. Wardrobe cave. Is there like a Narnia in there or something?
Do you think it'll lead them to the Dark World? It's like the 9th portal.
That is possible if we had some crossworld going, but unfortunately that is not in the settings. I really don't want to know how much time our runners would need for parsing through a crossworld log, though. Anyways, Zelda is headed into the wonderful, wonderful Desert Palace, presumably to pick up his set of flippers as well.
You see, you know, these runners, certainly, to their credit for how skillful they are, you actually see that a lot of their movement is very subtle, but also optimized. You actually see that Zelda kind of moved in such a way that the Beamos actually ended up hitting one of the pillars instead of him. Just like these very minor things that just seem so innocuous, right? I mean, these runners, I'm sure, have just practiced. It's actually very intentional.
Yeah, that's a good point. Another thing that we're seeing a lot, especially as the runners move in diagonal-esque motions, is pumping, because we are currently lacking the boots. So the quickest way to get somewhere is not usually holding down both directional keys, but rather holding down one of them and rapidly pressing the other one, as you see Zelda doing right here. It does save a couple frames.
Alright, so as we see Aussie finishing on Moldrum here, I believe we had two fairly cooperative bosses in Hera.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah, Aussie picking up his first crystal to go along with that great green pendant of his. Meanwhile, Zelda looks like he is also going to do the same here and pick up his green pendant and flippers as well.
Yeah, so basically the only thing we're missing here is that Zelda has run through and grabbed that Cane of Samaria over on Ice Rod Cave, and also has a couple of males for an upgrade. And Osse is checking out Ether Tablet for a full heart. That's definitely not a bad grab.
Yeah, something that we did not see Zelda pick up when he was up in the mountain. I mean, most likely, you know, because he had all the equipment there and he has already visited Hera, he most likely is just not going to pick that up.
That's a good point. So that's kind of a safety difference there. Osse having one more heart, Zelda having 2 male upgrades, since Osse has chosen, at least for now, to leave those alone. I can't imagine we're going to be coming back up there at the least until the very end, I would presume, unless this is a rather convoluted, please go up Death Mountain 4 times kind of seed.
Yeah, and one notable difference between a spoiler log race and a normal open randomized race is that not only do the runners get to watch each other's streams, they get to watch the restream. And so if Osse is watching, he can certainly make a game time decision for whether or not he wants to pick up those males as he's climbing Death Mountain again.
Yeah, that's a good point. And yeah, because our runners do, in theory, know where everything is, or at the very least have access to the spoiler log, which tells them where everything is, they are allowed to listen to the restream, watch each other's streams, or type in chat if they really want to. Alright, so it looks like with those flippers, we are headed directly into Swamp. This makes me slightly nervous, because, you know, 1 crystal, 2 pendants.
Oh, see, I thought you were going to say that this makes me nervous because Osse still has his Y item on the mirror, and, you know, I'm sure nothing bad will happen, you know, but sometimes, you know, buttons get pressed accidentally, and then you're just, you know, not a happy Ned Flanders.
I was going to say, if something did happen, it's completely your fault now because you mentioned it.
You're right. Thank you, Osse, for switching to the hammer.
So Zelda making a bit of a difference here, grabbing a heart from the back of Hype Cave. So, again, we're both sitting at 4 hearts. Zelda is doing quite a bit better on the safety side with those double upgrades there in terms of mail. But, yeah, grabbing different hearts. It'll be interesting to see if Osse turns around and grabs that one, or if Osse has decided that the Ether Tablet one is good enough. Oh boy, alright, so there's nothing on left side Swamp, so we're headed to the back, and that makes me even more uneasy, I'll say.
I mean, I guess at least it's a good thing that left side Swamp isn't required, or, you know, there's nothing at least that they want.
Osse, you're a monster.
Alright, we can pick up items here to really help visualize here Phoenix Wright's hair.
Alright, so we've got the boots, and we're continuing on. This is going from bad to worse, honestly.
Osse is certainly very confident. Certainly don't blame him in his ability to execute here.
Yeah, 4 hearts green mail Argus is, I mean, not terrifying, but you're basically playing, you know, Togo. 2 hits and you're dead.
Yeah, it looks like Osse, starting his Argus fight, wants to try and start the quick kill. Doesn't actually look like certain, I guess, like, movement patterns were that cooperative with him. So he will most likely have to do this the slightly more traditional way. Not quite menu boss, because he can pull puffs out and, you know, try and pull a couple of them at a time and then do a spin.
Yeah, but long story short, puffballs are annoying, and that's what we're dealing with right now. Meanwhile, Zelga's showing the other way to get a diver down there with that Cane of Samaria block. Alright, and Zelga headed to the back. Oh, that's a bow. Oh my goodness. And trying to mirror out there, but not being able to. So that is a bit telling for Osse there. We're basically looking at pedestal probably not being a thing, because Osse was hoping to not grab that pendant and be able to avoid the cutscene, but seemed to be unable to do so.
You know, if someone gave you the seed and didn't include the spoiler log, I mean, to find a bow on Pendant Argus.
Yeah, that sounds like a double dip of Pod to me, honestly. Probably a double dip of Eastern, too, since you had the mirror early. That's where you'd go, but yeah, no, not fun.
Yeah, and actually, the flippers, right, were on Pendant Desert. Like, like this chain, like, definitely would not have been very easy to discover. At least not the first time.
Yeah, speaking of flippers, how about some mitts?
Oh, so flippers are actually required.
Well, I mean, they're probably required for that bow sitting in Swamp that both of our runners grabbed.
Alright, looks like Osse is going to make his way over here to Ice Rod Cave to pick up the Cane of Samaria that Zelga picked up much earlier in the seed.
Yep, and is going to save a little bit of time with those wonderful, wonderful boots. Meanwhile, Zelga is going to be grabbing the mitts here, so in just a second, we are pretty much going to be synced up, outside of Zelga having a nice little attire advantage.
I do like Zelga's routing here in order to pick up the mitts and then basically go immediate to ice. Like, you really can't get much closer than that.
I'm also kind of enjoying the fact that our runners were synced up for approximately, 3 seconds before they decided to immediately diverge again.
I mean, if you were on Green Mail in 5 Hearts, do you want to visit ice?
If I was Osse, I probably wouldn't give a darn. Like, for me, I don't want to visit anything. Like, I'll just go beat Armos, please. Maybe. Hopefully.
I guess, like, the good news for Zelga is that he has red mail.
That's a good point. That does make Cold Stare a little bit less scary. It means it's not a one-hit KO boss fight. I guess technically you could take 2 hits from the falling ice if you were in green mail with 4 hearts, but yeah, the red mail is going to make it a bit more tolerable.
Yeah, a bit more is probably the qualifier that we want here.
I mean, at this point, I'm really hoping for like a tempered sword, or maybe even bombos, or a goo of some sort. Because right now we're going to need pretty much all of our magic to break this shell, and that doesn't leave us with a whole lot of help in taking out Cold Stare. Just saying.
Yeah, no, that certainly did not occur to me. These runners do not really have any safeties to work with.
Now, if Zelga can locate another heart, then he can do one of my favorite little glitches for Cold Stare, which is using the sword beams as a way to damage the shell. If you shoot a fire rod, and while the fire rod animation is still on screen, hit the shell. That was not the medallion I was hoping to see there, but it is required. Hit the shell with a sword beam, then the sword beam will do fire rod damage, which means, in theory, if you can perfectly execute it, you can take out the shell in 4 fire rod shots, which gives you a little bit of leeway.
Meanwhile, Osse is tearing through Pod here. He picked up another heart container, so he has 6 hearts, the bow, and the Master Sword. No lamp, so he will have to get through these dark rooms. At least he has a fire rod, but this is a very typical NMG-esque type of fight here.
Yeah, it's NMG minus that lamp, which you know, I'm not gonna say that this is like one of the worst set of the dark rooms, especially with that fire rod, like you mentioned, but this turtle room is like always 3 seconds away from really getting out of hand. Meanwhile, Zelda is just sitting here like not bothered at all. Oh, that was close. That eyeball took a bit of a charge there, but didn't matter. Cold Stare is down, and we get, woohoo, a small key. That's exactly what we were hoping for. This boss was perfectly required right now. I'm joking. Zelda's a madman.
Given how erratic some of these Cold Stare Puff's movements are, and that they don't really stop for anything, I mean, how Zelda ended up handling Cold Stare was just, simply just amazing. Who needs safeties if you never get hurt?
That's a big if. Just saying. Nice. So Helmasaur standing still for that second part for most of it, able to just wail on him with the Master Sword there. And that is another crystal for Osse as well as another full heart container. We're up to 7 now. Not looking too bad.
Yeah, Osse certainly is routing here. It kind of indicates that he probably wants, or he is certainly trying to route in a bit more safety, because when he goes to ice now, he will have a little bit more health. And just in terms of heart containers, when he fights Cold Stare. I still think Zelda has a bit more safety because of the red mail, but it's still having 7 hearts is better than having 6.
Yeah, that's fair. In terms of what's here, since we know there's nothing in Ice Palace outside of that Ether Medallion, which we're not making immediate use of on Zelda's side, I do like Osse's route better just because it is a bit safer. You're taking out 2 easier dungeons, getting a couple heart containers, just to kind of make Ice Palace slightly less daunting. Not that I think it's going to lose Zelda any time, since, I mean, that Cold Stare fight was awesome. But I think, as a personal preference, I would have gone with the Pod Eastern combo first, just out of safety. I've never seen it done that way. Wow, Osse just took out that room really fast.
Yeah, trying to do earlier dungeons, at least in terms of vanilla gameplay, like doing, as you said, Pod Eastern before Cold Stare, is more like a warm-up that you're doing, right? Before Cold Stare.
Right. And you're going to need that warm-up before going into Ice Palace. So for those in chat who are asking, this is a normal old seed. We got to do the 7 crystals, and we've got to go take out Agate 2, sitting up at Ganon's Tower, and then we go fight the Big Pig.
Yeah, speaking of seeing our runners here in chat, we do see Zelda complimenting Osse, as you did as well, Hammer, on his Eastern Palace room clear. Speaking of alternative, but also fast strats on Osse's side, very nice Armos clear there.
Yeah, good call on that. And that's what, crystal number 3 and 2 pendants already? Not even half an hour in? You're just plowing through this stuff. Speaking of, hold on. What do we need for go mode?
Well, since Turtle Rock is a crystal, we definitely need another rod, which is the ice rod. I don't believe our runners have found Quake yet, is that right?
That appears to be correct. So yeah, we were looking at Ice Rod, Quake, and hopefully either another bow or a sword upgrade somewhere, just so we don't have to do a spin cycle for our favorite pig.
Yeah, at this point, probably just in terms of luxury, Tempered Sword is probably going to be the most value for both these runners. Half Magic is arguable, but yes, as it might depend on if they need to get Torch Lich or not, basically. Certainly, having Half Magic for the Gauntlet is always really nice.
Yeah, that's a good point. Half Magic in general is just really nice to have, along with Powder, honestly. For a lot of these later dungeons, especially if you're going to be sitting on, you know, somewhere between 3 hearts and 8 hearts, Powder is super nice because it's pretty much a full heal every time, guaranteed. And that is not as big of a deal if you're playing a regular rando and you have 17 hearts, but a huge deal here. So if we can get our hands on Powder, probably going to be grabbing that too.
Having 17 hearts, Hammer, have you been sniping on how I play rando?
Look, I normally end a rando seed with 17 hearts. It's not my fault. I have no idea how to route. Zelda almost forgetting that big key, but remember just in time to turn back around and grab it.
Yeah, these runners have certainly taken very aggressive routes individually. It doesn't look like they want to give anything up to the other runner.
I mean, to be fair, this is the semifinals. And Zelda uses the same strats. Although, based upon the comments in chat, I think Zelda was, at least in his mind, the first one to use it. Speaking of another minor difference here, Zelda is going to light up that torch and take the menu loss to be able to run through this as if it weren't a dark room.
Yeah, these runners certainly are very honest with themselves. I believe that they know when it is appropriate to, in this case, let's say, like light a torch, like use medallions as offense, versus when they should just, slash through the rooms or, just try and clear the room in the dark.
Alright, so Osse saving a grand total of 2 Fire Rod shots using that beam strat I mentioned earlier. Also was able to keep a couple of those puffballs together, which really led to quite a bit of a quicker cold stare fight, in all honesty.
Oh, okay, Osse.
I'm sorry.
Okay, alright, we're all good, we're all good. Osse was totally fine, no one had to worry about anything.
Okay, that was almost bad. I almost had to offer a heartfelt apology for a comm curse. It's terrifying. That's the scariest part of this job, is like you're afraid you're gonna open your mouth and say something and then like someone dies and you're just like, oh no, I'm sorry. Alright, so Zelda headed over towards Skull Woods, and just continuing the divergence, Osse is going to go ahead and take Meyer out first. I don't even care anymore. We're not going to be able to tell who the heck's ahead or behind until we get someone going into GT at this point.
Yeah, given all their divergences so far, the fact that they just synced up and now there's diversion again, I mean, these are super, super close races, just probably, seconds apart, right?
Yeah, and that's what makes this stuff fun, because you have no idea who's ahead, but you know it's not by much.
Oh, that was a very beautiful Mire 2 room done by Osse, taking full advantage of the Fire Rod and his sword beams.
Oh, that fire snake was staring Osse right in the face, and Osse decided that this was a one-way street and just go down to the next block. Alright, so you wanted Mothula, and here it is. 6 hearts, red mail, which is going to be helpful for the moth part, not helpful for the spikes part. Those are going to do 1 heart of damage regardless of what color tunic you're wearing today. So we're going to be avoiding the spikes and going after Mothula, since Mothula will actually be doing less damage than spikes will.
I'm just not going to say anything about Zelda's fight until he finishes.
Oh, if you think I'm opening my mouth, you're sorely mistaken. Nicely done, just wailing on him with the hammer.
Beautiful job, Zelda. No one had any doubts whatsoever.
Not at all. Alright, Osse going into some fun rooms without a lamp. Wait, hold on. Oh, hello, Bacon. That was a nice set of routing choices there. Well worth the loss of a heart to grab that up, Bacon Blade. I probably shouldn't have said that.
The Tempered Sword is certainly a great upgrade. It most likely will not help them as much in these dark rooms.
Well, no, but it's definitely going to help on Vidi.
Yeah, with that Tempered Sword pickup, he has a couple other options in order to fight Vitreous. Another NMG-esque boss in terms of loadout. Although we might be a little bit short on the heart side.
A bit short on the health side, but we do have that cape. I wouldn't be surprised to see some invisibility cloak / strats. Nicely done. That is a super clean Mire 2 from Zelda. Was probably wishing that full magical decanter dropped somewhere north of where it did, though, as going to grab it was not worth the time.
Yeah, I would postulate further and say that if there were other dungeons, it might have been tempting for Zelda to pick up, but given how many full magic containers there are in this dungeon, it's probably not worth his time.
Alright, so just missing that 0 cycle. But we still have a nice cup of refreshing eyeball gelato here, so all's well that ends well.
Something, did we need a lamp?
In theory, yeah, but in actuality, no.
Yeah, how fast Osse tear through this basement basically made it seem like he had a lamp. Alright, looks like our runners are just swapping positions. Zelda's gonna finish up Mire, and Osse's gonna finish up Skullwoods. Still no Ice Rod or Quick, though.
That's a good point. I do find it interesting there that there was a slight difference there. Zelda did dash back down, because after falling, the natural pan for the camera is way slower. So it did save a couple frames there. Good call. That bush bomb was rude. I'm just going to throw that out there. Anyways, since these runners have pretty much swapped out for the last time, we are just going to be looking at grabbing those last couple of items that we need wherever the heck they are, and then going into Turtle Rock and going to GT from there. Go ahead and give these guys a follow. They're tearing through this game. We're sitting at almost 6 crystals for these guys in less than 40 minutes. That's absolutely nuts. Give these guys a follow. They're great at this game.
Now, one advantage that Osse will have over Zelda is because he did Mire first and picked up that Tempered Sword, he will have a bit better firepower when he fights Moth.
That is a good point. It should make this boss a bit quicker, but I think either way, it is going to be really, really close coming out of these cutscenes.
I am fully on board with that statement.
Nicely done. So both runners missing the zero cycle there, but Zelda being a little bit quicker. And wow, this is going to be just about synced. Please keep your hands and feet inside the spoiler log rando at all times. We're going to have some really, really close race here.
Yeah, I was gonna say, you know, that cape that ran out was just in the nick of time to shield Zelda from any potential harm. That was not quite the case in his race against Osse when he was trying to fight Moth. So I'm glad to, you know, see that he definitely did not have to fall to the same accident twice.
All right, so now for the important question: where's Quake? Where's Ice Rod?
Well, clearly, if we're going to follow any type of rando memes, Ice Rod is always going to be on Laser Bridge.
That's fair, and does seem more likely than it has any right to be. But I'm thinking Kingston instead.
Zelda's got what, like a 2-second lead coming out of King's Tomb here?
It's not a lead that's big enough to even kind of matter. Oh, this is interesting. Wait, so where's Quake? Are we gonna have to dip a third? Okay, never mind. I was gonna say, is it sitting in Thieves Town? That would be rude.
Yeah, if it was sitting in Thieves Town, you might wonder, since they had the mirror pretty early, that they might have just dipped it, you know, before going to Skull Woods.
Looks like it's on our blacksmith today.
Could be on our blacksmith. Ari putting on chat that also might be a purple chest.
I refuse to speak that over them.
Oh, don't worry, Ari said it first. So it's not really Computer's curse at that point.
Nope, instead it's an Ari curse. Alright, so this lead is up to a massive 4 seconds. We have 2 big old dungeons to deal with left, so there is plenty of rando left and plenty of mistakes that can be made. So this should be fun.
Yeah, we have all of GT, we have all of Turtle Rock, arguably the 2 most difficult locations in the game. Given the safety that, given the current health situation of our 2 runners, Osse having 7 hearts green mail, Zelda having 6 hearts red mail, despite that, it is still not too much of a buffer in terms of how many hits they can take.
No, Osse definitely being in a more unfortunate situation. Oh, that was very nearly a dead rocking there.
So good. Squeezed right through.
I seriously think he had about a pixel to work with there. But yeah, Osse not being in as great of a situation without the mail upgrades, but like you said before, if you don't get hit a whole lot, it really doesn't matter.
It's really just quite amazing. As you said, we had so much divergence earlier, and yet, you know, both runners kind of chose the same route to do Purple Chest towards the very end and to come up to Turtle Rock here. We have some divergence in TR. So
with the small key there, Zelda is almost definitely going to need that. We can steal the Pokey small key, and then we wouldn't necessarily need a small key if that were the case. So this could be a complete divergence for a TR, as we get a big key. Oh no, with the big key there, we're definitely going to need that small key. And half magic, which, as you said, is a really, really nice safety to get your hands on.
Kind of unfortunate that it's so late in the game, but half magic, as I said, to help you through that gauntlet is still going to be very nice.
Yes, it's also going to be really nice just in case we don't get something silly, like, those silvers that we could still kind of hope are around here somewhere.
Yeah, actually, as it's further out pointed out by Ari, even though there was a very slight divergence between Osse's route and Zelga's route to get to where Zelga is right now, Zelga's times is actually a few seconds faster. So further, furthering his lead from what, 4 seconds to 5 seconds.
Either way, with this much rando left to play, it's not that lead's non-existent. 5 seconds does not matter right now. There's too much left to go.
That was a really nice Poke clear there by Zelga. Everything cooperated for the most part. Is that double Ned Flanders? That's his funny sprite. That's really cute.
That was actually really good RNG for that Poke room from Zelda there. Regular enemy RNG is not seeded. All of the boss RNG is, but regular enemy RNG is not. So there's no guarantee that Osse is going to get something quite as nice. Oof, tried for the bonk there, but the Crystal Roller was going to take its 4 hearts regardless, looks like. Alright, so since I'm sure someone in chat is wondering, even if it hasn't been mentioned yet, the lamp is obviously not going to get grabbed right now. There's pretty much nowhere else it could be that we're going to be looking at other than maybe Hookshot Cave. The lamp was not there. The lamp was, in fact, as Osse is maybe lost. Okay,
oh, that was a clutch cape there!
Yeah, but unfortunately I think Osse's a bit turned around, which is going to be a problem.
That was a very fortunate half magic pickup, at least, because I think without the half magic, Osse would not have had any more options here.
Yes, but I think Osse's pretty much out of magic at this point, and I have no idea where Osse is. And that was unfortunately looking more inevitable as the room went on. That's really unfortunate.
Alright, meanwhile, Zelga has taken down Trinex's very beautiful fight very fast. He picks up a boomerang that is really nice for menuing. Alright, with that crystal grab for Zelda, he is going to be able to make his way to GT. So typically we do try and guess where the GT big key is. However, because these runners have the spoiler log, the number of checks that they'll need to do in the basement is going to be very few, probably 1 or 2, maybe even 3 if they so choose. So feel free to guess the exact location of where you think the big key will be.
Zelda lamenting the lead right now. You were supposed to end my suffering. Unfortunately, my friend, it does not look like your suffering's going to be over quite yet. But hey, great thing for us is it's looking like we're going to get more rando, which is always a really nice thing.
Zelda is in GT Basement. It looks like it is on the left side, or at least it's going to start out this way. Osse doing round 2 of the Dark Room here in Turtle Rock.
Alright, so I don't know if we want to call that a comms curse, because I was mentioning the lamp as Osse was wishing he had the lamp. But the lamp was actually sitting in Meyer, believe it or not, in the chest directly adjacent to that big chest. So it is the map chest, which I'm almost positive is the one over by the big chest. And both our runners decided they did not need it.
Osse doing a very nice clear, second time through, ready to face Trinex. Doing some very nice backdoor strats here. You know, this boss is probably called Trinex for a reason. I mean, like, these necks can really move in any which way direction.
That's a good point.
Zelda is experiencing the curse of sword games here as he's going through this gauntlet.
I honestly thought it was called that because this boss is next level.
Half magic here on Zelda lets him take a couple more fire rod shots on Lambo, as he's going to do a couple of the most satisfying rooms in the game here in GT.
Yeah, as long as you have the Cane of Samaria, these are a lot of fun.
Yeah, we certainly have seen runs before where the Cane of Samaria was technically not required pragmatically. I mean, logically, it is, you know, assuming they have like Turtle Rock or something, but, you know, we have seen racers clear this room sometimes, given a slight pause at the beginning, because who comes into those rooms without the Cane of Samaria?
People who play entrance rando. Alright, so we have avoided despawning the tower, which is one of the last big things that Zelda has to avoid. Now we just have to say hello to our favorite worm friend, who didn't give us any problems during round 1, but might be looking forward to a grudge match.
It's only fair on Zelda's side because, you know, we saw the bunny sprite on Osse's side. He's also showing us the bunny sprite on Zelda's side for the Blue Badger. That was a really nice Moldorm 2 fight, though.
Yeah, speaking of showing, Moldorm didn't put up much of one for either of these fights. It's relatively friendly there. We do have our favorite math test coming up, so everyone grab your protractors. It's time for agonometry.
As you mentioned before, Aga 2 is seeded for both runners, so when Osse comes here to fight Aga 2, he will have the same pattern. So if he's watching, he can take a sneak peek at what he's going to get.
Are you kidding me with that triple, though? Like, are you kidding me with that triple? That triple was amazing. So 2-3-1 for those who are keeping count at home. And now it's time to fight the pig. You know, when we first looked at this seed, I said it was going to take over an hour, and boy was I wrong!
Did you forget that Zelda and Osse were running the seed? Because you should just shave off like 15 minutes for each one of there.
Yeah, that's a fair point. Oh well, I'll learn it for next time, I guess. That's a very good question, Ganon. Why are you surrounded by incompetent fools? Oh man, I can't wait for this,
Oh, Zelda! I was even just thinking, with 4 hearts and Red Mill, not is during the more dangerous phases of Ganon, he could still potentially have some issues.
That was like a double fire bat to the butt. That's a really unfortunate RNG there. So now Ganon's seeding is actually going to be different since this is round 2 for Zelda. But I was going to say, before Ganon so rudely interrupted Zelda over there, that I cannot wait to see the chat's reaction to where the silvers are. This is going to be a delight.
It looks like Zelda is going to not take as many chances here, pulling out that cape, getting through the most dangerous phases of Ganon.
Today, please. Today, please! Thank you.
Now we don't know, as you said, because Zelda ended up fighting him for the second time. We will not have the same patterns. We may have more teleports or fewer teleports on Osse's side. We don't know, but we just know it's going to be different.
Osse's going for a Moldorm bounce. Yep, hope you guys saw that. Did you find the silver arrows in Swamp Palace? No, that is not a glitch. Both bows were there. Osse, come on!
Osse!
Come on!
Thank you for the treat. You know, this couldn't certainly be an intimidation tactic on Zelda, because if he thinks it's going to be a game 3, he wants Zelda to know that he is also capable of doing Moldorm bounce.
I mean, just the first try about it just is nuts to me. Like, that's just insane. Alright. Insane first try Moldorm bounces aside, as Osse throws just an immaculate triple on that one too. Goes for the long shot there, but doesn't get it. Get your GGs in chat for Zelda. That was insane. He finishes with an official SRL time of, I have no idea, I'm going to have to look, 1 hour, 12 minutes, and 2 seconds. That does include the 15-minute spoiler log time, so go ahead and take 15 minutes off of that. 57 minutes and 2 seconds for the official racing time.
With this win, Zelda is going to force a Game 3 in this best-of-3 series.
Yep, and that is something that is not on the schedule yet.
Alright, meanwhile, we see Osse finishing up his Ganon fight here, going on phase 3, placing some bombs that have locations where you may not expect them to be able to be placed.
You know, it seems like Ganon was just going to move today, because that was not terribly friendly either. And plus, those bomb placements were very important. Putting those there meant that Osse did not have to menu to fire on. Oh wow, this is torture.
Yeah, you know, given how many warps that Osse is experiencing, maybe Zelda did take the gambit here of falling and getting fewer warps.
I think Ganon's just using a whole bunch of teleports to try and knock down that quarantine 20 that we're all dealing with.
Yeah, Osse getting some really nice triples here.
Yeah, this is honestly one of the harder strats in the game, and the runners just make it look so easy because they've done this hundreds and hundreds and probably hundreds of thousands of times, if I'm being honest. But the timing's actually really difficult to get down. So go ahead and get your GGs in chat for Osse once he crosses this wonderful 1x3 bridge. And there it is, Osse finishing in second place with an official SRL time of 1 hour, 14 minutes, and 46 seconds. So, minus our 15-minute spoiler log period, we are sitting at just under an hour. 59 minutes, 46 seconds for the race there. GG's to both of our runners. Really nicely done.
Yeah, given how many pennant dungeons they had to dip and how many crystal dungeons they had to clear, I mean, sub 1 hour is really just an amazing time.
Yeah, 2 extra dungeons, not fun. Not fun, especially because both of them, I guess you didn't technically have to clear Swamp because we did have the other bow sitting in the big chest for Swamp. But that's only if you're willing to go get that big key, which was on the westmost side chest of Swamp. So left side Swamp, left chest had the big key, and you could have taken that to go grab your bow instead, but our runners chose to just take out Argus instead.
Yeah, it's actually pretty debatable whether or not it's worth their time to pick up that second bow. I mean, certainly these 2 runners opted to only pick up the 1 bow on Argus.
And we are joined by Zelda himself. GG, my friend.
GG, hey. Zelda.
Yeah, GG's. Thank you very much.
That one was fun, wasn't it? It's the flippers you don't need. Oh, wait.
Yeah, the PRNG here is a little interesting. Had the otherwise unrequired flippers for stuff to get into Swamp. The Ice Palace big key and the spike chest to get an item out of the big chest of ice. There were a few kind of things that caught my attention, like, oh, the flute into the hospital's closet. I was like, man, I seriously thought for a second I opened the wrong spoiler log.
That is fair. Meanwhile, we are also joined in the booth by Osse. GG, my friend.
GG's Osse.
That TR room sucks.
Yeah. So those hearts are something you don't typically ever go for. The heart and magic refill. And so it was like double blind going for that. But I didn't want to leave the room on 2 hearts either. So I blame everything on that roller that I jumped onto after Pokies 2.
Yeah, that roller was not having it. I thought you'd cleared it, and then it was just like, nope, there goes your health.
Really tied up, I guess, when we went to King's Tomb together.
Yeah, you guys were tied up for, I want to say, 3 different particular points. That first point when you guys grabbed your mitts, and then one of you immediately went to ice, and the other one did the pod Eastern combo, and then again, right before you guys did Mothula and Vitreous, which you guys then did in reverse order. So there were a couple of moments of convergence, but they were just that. And then, yeah, you guys officially synced up once you guys did the same and quit to Sanctuary to grab our wonderful King's Tomb Ice Rod.
Yeah, this was interesting to kind of keep an eye on the restream as we were going, just kind of seeing I can't talk. The divergences. I think Aussie's route made a lot of sense. For example, if you don't have Samaria, to just go ahead and do pod and especially if you don't have the males, to go ahead and do pod and Easter and get the extra hearts before Ice Palace. But in my situation, I had Samaria, I had the males. It made sense. I'm already at Highly Island, jump into Ice. So I feel like given our situation, we both made the correct calls there. Yeah, a lot of little things like that. I feel like our divergences made sense. I probably should have just done Meyer before Skullwoods, but it happens.
Yeah, the tempered sword helps a lot with Skullwoods.
Yeah, I was worried about my arrow count going into the Vitreous fight, but there was really no need to be. Yeah, I should have just gone ahead with it. So I wanted those 5 arrows from the pot that you dropped Timothula with.
Makes sense. I got a couple lucky arrow drops after Eastern, so I had arrows.
Yeah, I actually, if you hadn't done that, I was wondering if you were going to buy the capacity arrows leaving Ice, just so you'd have enough to make sure for Vitreous and stuff, but
No.
probably wasn't an issue.
No, I wasn't going to do that. That takes too long. I only buy those for Ice Armos, really. A Tempered Sword Vitreous Big Eye does half the damage of an arrow. So it wouldn't really take much longer.
That's fair. So looking back on it, do you guys? I guess the one big question that you guys both made the same choice on is which bow in Swamp. Do you guys stand by the bow that you grabbed, or do you think you do it the other way? Looking back on it.
I think if you're going to the back to get the boots anyway from the flooded room, it makes sense to just go ahead to Argus. I think you could make an argument with Diver Down to just go straight left first, but without the boots, I didn't really want to do that.
That's a good point, because with the boots there, you'd have to either grab the boot first and then back out, or which leads to that really wonky staircase coming back up, or you would have to just go walk there and walk back, and that would be a significant.
There's a lot of backtracking where you have to go down for the boots. So you had red mail for Argus, and I was just on green with 4 hearts. So I was a little worried about doing fast strats for Argus because you die pretty fast. So I lost a lot of time on that fight. It was 4 cycles and then 3 more cycles.
Yeah, the hearts were in weird spots. Like there were 2 or 3 in GT, and then the 2 in Pod that you basically only could get a certain number of hearts. And I felt kind of iffy about skipping Ether Tablet, but it was really weird trying to route what I wanted, and I felt like getting the mails really early probably would end up paying off.
I think that I could have taken the time from Ether Tablet and gotten a blue mail, and that would have been better.
Yeah, it's always kind of interesting to think about, especially when you're walking into a situation with, I think, 4 or 5 hearts green mails. Like, is the 1 heart worth it? Or is that blue mail worth it? And I guess depending on where your confidences are and what you're worried about taking damage from, then you can kind of determine, okay, am I more afraid of taking damage from stuff that the mail isn't going to care about, like spikes and even chain chops to an extent? Or am I going to be taking damage to stuff that blue mail or red mail even is really going to help me out? But even then, it's kind of a toss-up, and you just kind of throw your hands up in the air and go with what comes to your gut at that exact moment in time. But yeah, so I noticed you guys don't have a Game 3 on the schedule. Have you guys talked about the potential of a particular date and time? Or is that still kind of up in the air?
We hadn't talked about it at all. I'm guessing it'll probably be some evening, but I probably over the weekend. I know I have a cross keys race on Sunday, but that's the only thing in my way.
Yeah, my weekend's pretty free. So tomorrow, maybe.
You heard it here first. Tomorrow.
All right, keep an eye on that schedule. This race will be popping up real soon. And if you guys saw this race, and if you saw the last race, and if you didn't, I don't know what you were doing. It was an amazing race to watch. But at the very least, keep an eye on that schedule for race 3 because that one's going to be fun. And yeah, the winner of this gets to go up against Kiyoung and maybe give him a loss or two. That'd be kind of fun.
A loss or two, Hammer?
Hey, look, I'm just saying these guys are good. That's all I'm saying.
They are.
No one's invincible here, even if it seems like it. Rando gonna rando.
Now, certainly, if anyone can take a win off of Kiyoung, he can be one of these guys.
Yeah, should definitely be a good series. Whoever moves on, I think it's fair to say Kiyoung is obviously the favorite of this whole tournament, but it should at least make for interesting races.
Yeah, and we can all trust Synac's bot to give us interesting races at the very least. All right, so did you guys have anything you wanted to add before we head on out of here?
I would just say GG's again. Looking forward to Game 3 tomorrow, and yeah, let's have a good one. Thank you guys for commenting, tracking the restream. Much appreciated.
Yeah, thank you so much for putting up a really great race for us, Osse and Zelda. I know that as viewers, we're all very excited to see Game 3, so thank you, Zelda. And thank you, Osse, for cooperating.
Just doing my part.
Alrighty, so I do believe that is all we have. Keep an eye on that schedule because Game 3 is coming. Shout outs to our wonderful tracker, Oddwalls. Tracking is hard, and tracking a spoiler log race is really hard because, as you guys saw, the first 25 minutes is basically 5 seconds passes and you light something up on the tracker, and then another 5 seconds passes and you light something else up on the tracker. And our runners didn't exactly make the same routing choices, so everything was a bit tossed up there. But Oddwalls did really well keeping us informed and making sure that at least when I look down at the tracker, I know what's going on, because without it, I certainly wouldn't. That is pretty much all I've got. As always, it was a blast commenting with you, Clear Mouse. I hope to join you in the booth at some point very soon again. Yeah, that's all I got. So if you want to take us on out, Clear Mouse, you are free to do so.
Yeah, I want to say thank you again so much to Osse and Zelda for putting up such a great race for us. If you haven't already, please give these runners a follow. Now, as Zelda mentioned, that these guys play a lot of rando, and they are also well versed in other aspects. I believe Zelda said he has a Cross Keys tournament on Sunday. Osse is also very involved in the Super Metroid community. These guys have streamed a lot of content. Feel free definitely to give these guys a follow and to stop by their stream sometimes. Thank you so much for SpeedGaming for letting us host our tournament, and certainly we are looking forward to a Game 3 with you guys.
Awesome. That's all we got. Have a great night, everyone.
Have a great night.